Discover what's from the Quran and what's not. The Quran states that striking a woman is a method of discipline. Not true. The word wadribuhunna in the Quran in chapter 4, verse 34 has been misunderstood and mistranslated. It means physical separation, not physical striking. Next question. The Quran prohibits writing wills? No. The Quran does not prohibit making wills. In fact, whenever the Quran addresses inheritance, it consistently emphasizes that the inheritance should be distributed, according to Allah's instructions, only after fulfilling any existing will or debt. Next question. The Quran says that women make up the majority of the inhabitants of hell. Of course not. This is based on a false hadith, and it actually contradicts the Quran. The Quran does not make any gender-specific claim about the majority of the inhabitants of hell. Instead, it emphasizes that entry into hell or paradise is based on one's deeds and faith, not gender. Next question. In the Quran, as-sunnah refers to Allah's way, not the Prophet's. Correct. Allah states in chapter 48, verse 23, "This is the way of Allah that has passed before, and you will never find in the way of Allah any change." Next question. Muslims are commanded to seek knowledge and understanding of the Quran's teachings. Correct. This is mentioned in chapter 27, verse 84. Next question. Ad-Dajjal, or the Antichrist, is mentioned in the Quran. No, the Antichrist is not mentioned in the Quran. Next question. The Quran mentions that good deeds are multiplied, but bad deeds are not. Correct. This is mentioned in chapter 6, verse 160. Next question. The Quran states that the creation of the heavens and the earth is greater than the creation of humans. Correct. This is mentioned in chapter 40, verse 57. The creation of the heavens and the earth is greater than the creation of mankind, but most of the people do not know. Next question. The Quran mentions that heaven has varying levels of reward. Correct. This is mentioned in chapter 17, verse 21. Next question. The intercession of the Prophet, or Shafa'ah, was mentioned in the Quran. No, the intercession of the Prophet was not mentioned in the Quran. The Quran emphasizes that all intercession belongs ultimately to Allah alone, or whomever He allows. This is stated in chapter 39, verse 44, and in other verses as well. Next question. The Quran prohibits dividing Islam into sects. Correct. The Quran prohibits dividing Islam into sects such as Sunni, Shia, Sufi, etc. This is mentioned in chapter 30, verses 31 and 32. Turning to Him in repentance and fear Him, and establish prayer, and do not be of those who associate others with Allah, or of those who have divided their religion and become sects, every faction rejoicing in what it has. Next question. The Prophet is allowed to make legislation. No, the Prophet is not allowed to say what is haram and what is halal. That would be shirk. This is stated in chapter 18, verse 26. And he does not share his command with anyone. Next question. The Quran mentions the name of Prophet Ibrahim's father. Correct. Ibrahim's father's name is Azar, as mentioned in chapter 6, verse 74. Next question. The Quran says that women make up the majority of the inhabitants of hell. Of course not. This is not from the Quran and actually contradicts it, as it comes from a fabricated hadith. The Quran does not make any gender-specific claim about the majority of hell's inhabitants. Instead, it emphasizes that entry into hell or paradise is determined by one's deeds and faith, not gender. Next question. Allah stated that if you do not perform prayer, you are a disbeliever or a kafir. No, Allah never described a person who does not pray as a kafir. However, he did mention that those who neglect prayer will face consequences on Judgment Day. Next question. The Quran mentions one sin that Allah will not forgive. Correct. The sin that Allah stated He will not forgive is associating partners with Him, shirk, if a person dies upon it without repentance. This is mentioned in chapter 4, verse 48. Next question. One place is mentioned the most in the Quran. Correct. The most mentioned place in the Quran is Makkah and its surroundings, specifically Al-Masjid al-Haram, the sacred mosque, and the Kaaba. However, the most frequently mentioned geographical name is Earth, Al-Ard, which appears over 450 times in the Quran. Next question. The Quran specifies the month in which it was revealed. Correct. The Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan, as mentioned in chapter 2, verse 185. Next question. The Quran mentions the amount of zakah a Muslim needs to give to the needy. Correct. Muslims are required to give zakah and sadaqah from whatever they can spare, beyond their essential needs. This is stated in chapter 2, verse 219. And they ask you what they should spend. Say, the excess beyond needs. Thus, Allah makes clear to you the verses that you might give thought. Next question. Allah responds to dua, or supplication, at certain times. No, this is not from the Quran. The Quran states that Allah responds to dua at all times. This is mentioned in chapter 2, verse 186. And when my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me. Next question. This hadith from al-Bukhari contradicts the Quran. A woman is deficient in intelligence and religion. Correct. The hadith mentioned does contradict the Quran. The Quran makes no statement about women being deficient and judges all people based on righteousness, not gender. Allah said in chapter 49, verse 13, Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Next question. This hadith from al-Bukhari was mentioned in the Quran. If a fly falls into your drink, dip it completely before removing it. No, this hadith is not mentioned in the Quran and can be easily disproven by science. The Quran emphasizes cleanliness and avoiding impurity, while this hadith promotes what is considered unclean. Next question. The Jews claimed that this person was God's son. Yes, the name was mentioned in chapter 9, verse 30. Do you know what it is? Write your answer in the comments.